Hypertext story, how to link and animate text in Scratch. I'm Dennis Jers, teaching digital storytelling at Seton Hill University. Scratch is a powerful programming environment that lets anyone create games and animations, even if you've never programmed before. This video focuses on making a hypertext story, taking advantage of the way Scratch can hide and show buttons, change the backdrop, and animate phrases and words. If you just want to do a plain hypertext story, I recommend you use WordPress or Google Sites. If you'd like to learn how Scratch lets you play with words, taking advantage of an impressive array of visual effects, take a look at what Scratch will let you do. We're going to make a simple Scratch project that presents 3 separate pages of text, what the cool kids call lexias, 5 links, and then 2 special animations. I click on the word mother, and I get to another page of text that talks about the mother. I click on girl, takes us back to the opening page. Here we have the word father. Click on the word father, takes me to this other page. Here's one of these special effects. We go away from the father page, and then back to it, and then we leave it. This word will actually take us back to it as well. Away, back. Note that these words are graying out, and this word runs away from the cursor. It dips to invisible when you touch it, and it also is erasing the text on the page. So those are a couple special effects that I'll show you how to do. Okay, writing hypertext stories, this little digression. A choose-your-own-adventure style of forking narrative paths can get a little thin and meaningless when the results don't spring organically from the choices the reader makes. For example, if you give the reader the choice, do you go through the green door or the red door? That's not an emotionally engaging choice. An engaging story will involve the audience. I should have some sense of what's at stake if I'm going to be engaged in the choice of one door over the other. If the choice were, Spandex Man lets the Ferris wheel full of Ranger Scouts plummet off the edge of the cliff in order to rescue Spunky McSidekick, or Spandex Man lets Spunky McSidekick burn to death in the lava pit in order to rescue the Ranger Scouts. Well, that's a bit more engaging, but only if the web text also establishes the relationships in play. Okay, my general point is that simply giving your reader any old choice does not automatically engage the reader. Okay, back to Scratch now. Let's do a little bit of setup and overview. If you haven't already joined Scratch, I'm going to let you do that on your own. I'm going to sign in my own account, and if the server is a little slow, just be patient. I'm going to go to my folder, my stuff, and I'm going to create a new project. The server is a bit slow. I've trimmed out quite a bit of looking at a white screen, waiting for the page to load. Okay, this is what a default Scratch project looks like. If you'd like some basic tips and a kind of gentle introduction, click here on the question mark and you can see tips and some other helpful information to get you started. Once you've taken a look at that, come on back here and we can keep going, or we can just plow ahead and I'll try to be as clear as I can. This is the stage. An object that you can manipulate on the stage, such as this cat, is called a sprite. And these colored rectangles are bits of code, and I can click each one of these bits of code to see what it does. I can make the cat move. I can make him turn. I can go over to looks, and I can change his color. There's really no way you can break Scratch, so feel free to explore any one of these things. I can assemble these blocks in what's called a stack. I'm going to make the cat jump up and down and then say hello. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the Y axis. This is the Y axis of the cat by, let's change it by 20. And then I'm going to come over here to control. I'm going to wait a quarter of a second, 0.25 secs. And then I will change the Y by -20. And I'll go here to looks. And I'll have him say hello. I click on this. He jumps. He says hello. Whoopee. Okay. I can add a controller block to make this cat repeat this sequence of events 10 times. Okay, so he's jumping 10 times. I can also come over here to events, and if I add this when green flag is clicked button, I can test that to see what happens. I can just click on that stack and it will run. But this is the green flag over here. The sort of traditional way to start a Scratch program is to click this green flag. So I click that green flag. That's how you start running the program, and then this block of code, this script executes. This block executes 10 times, and when it finishes, it just stops. Okay, but for this tutorial, I'm going to stay away from images. I'm going to right-click and delete the cat. Goodbye, cat. And I'm going to show you how to create a text backdrop, an editable text field using the Vector Tools editor in Scratch. It's an onboard editor that will allow me to write several chunks of text, and I'll also use blocks of code to control when each chunk of text, when each lexia is displayed. Okay, so this stage has a backdrop. When I click here on the tab Backdrops, I see I'm just looking at a completely white backdrop. If I were to draw something here, then you can see that backdrop changes over there. So why don't I delete these things? We don't need those. Okay, I can load backdrops from the Scratch library. Though why I would want to do so if it took this much time, I'll never know. And it's taking a little bit of time to download all these files, but as you can see, here are many different backdrops that I could choose. I can also upload a backdrop from a file. I could take a picture using a webcam, but I'm just going to work with this default backdrop they provided me. There's a text tool that if I make sure that I've got the black text, I can click here and so. And then I click outside of the editing box like that. I click again, and this text is now here visible on the stage. If I want to edit this text, you would think I would click text and then click in here. Oh, but wait a minute. If I do that, I'm not actually editing this text. Here, I'll edit. Now I can edit it. Once I click once out of it, now I can move this around, but I can, now that I've clicked out of it, I no longer have the ability to edit that text. I can drag it like that, drag all these things, but I can no longer click in there to edit that text. So I could select that. I'm going to hit the delete key. Move some things around a little bit. But what's happened is once I finished editing this text, it kind of gets locked into the screen as a bitmapped image, and it's not editable anymore. So that actually would be very, very tedious from the perspective of a writer. I know I always like tweaking my text. I tweak it constantly. So this really would not be very useful to me. Fortunately, however, there's another option. I'm just going to select it all and hit the delete key to get rid of it. Down here it says convert to vector. I am now in the vector editing tools. A vector editor, here I'll show you what a vector tool is. I want to draw this fancy line. I click here on reshape, and I click on this line, and now I can drag these lines along. If you've used Adobe Illustrator or Flash or something like that, you may be familiar with this kind of editing. It's just a different way of creating graphics than painting individual pixels. I don't actually want to use this. Oh, I deleted my white backdrop. Well, that gives me the chance to show you the undo option, so I'll get that back again. So I want, instead of clicking the back, that's what I want. So I'll hit the delete key. Okay. Now, if I convert to bitmap, notice these tools are on the left. I want to convert to vector, and I'm going to use this text editing tool on the right. And I'm going to type some text. And you can see I can click out of here. I can move this around. And then I can come back to it. And I can edit this block of text. I can create another one. Change the color. There are a couple very rudimentary typeface tools. I can change the size. So there's a lot of stuff that I can do with this text once I've created it. I'm not actually going to do much of that in this particular video. What I do want to do, however, is show you how to create a chunk of text to work with. Now I'm going to type out some of the text that I'm going to use in my Hypertext project. I'm going to click here on this text tool, click here on the stage, and I'm going to write, how do I get black text? Live cottage of the forest or est. So your mother say edge of village. Children little of her father say the cloak he wrapped her in. Night he went to war. I'm going to click here. I'm going to name this backdrop begin. Now I'm going to create another slide of text. I'm going to follow the same procedure. I'm going to paint a new backdrop. I'm going to, remember, I don't want to use this text button because I won't be able to edit that text. I'm going to convert to vector. I'm going to use this text tool, and I'm going to type. And I'm going to name this backdrop Mother. I've created two backdrops, but I haven't yet told Scratch which backdrop I want to start with or what to do with those backdrops. We'll cover that in part 2. Part 2, beginning to code. Let's start this story. I've already mentioned that the traditional way to start a Scratch program is to click that green flag. Here in the Scripts tab, we're going to add this block, when the green flag clicked, to the Scripts tab of the stage. And from the Looks palette, we will switch the backdrop to begin. So when the green flag is clicked, switch the backdrop to begin. Currently, it's displaying the backdrop from mother. We click the green flag and ta-da! We've changed to the text for the opening, which we called begin. Now let's create a hyperlink. I want to make clicking on this word mother take you to the chunk of text about the mother. I'm going to create a button, position it on the screen, and make it respond to being clicked. I'm going to call this button that I create, we'll go down here to sprite. I'm going to paint a new sprite. I'm going to click this blue circle and name this sprite. I'm going to call it begin.mother. Now, I could call it ham sandwich for all Scratch cares. I'm giving it a name that indicates it's a button that exists on the begin page and it takes you to the mother page. That's just a naming convention that I'm going to give all the hyperlinks that I create in this project. Okay, now we need to actually create the button. I'm going to click this rectangle. I'm going to get the rectangle that's the filled rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle that I think will more or less match the shape of the word mother. To see that, I have to click outside this and click there to place it. There we go. I click outside it. That's what the button looks like. It's a little bit too short on this side, so I'm going to go back over here to the rectangle, and I'm going to add a little bit side. And just a little bit more. Okay. And I guess it's a little bit too big now, so I'm going to shave off a little bit, hit the delete key. All right, that's good enough. It's a big, ugly black button right now. Don't worry. Later, I'll show you how to make it look a little bit more nice. Okay, so it's already, I already named it begin.mother, and I've placed it where I want it. Now I'm going to go to the Scripts tab, and I'm going to add some code. See here, this begin mother tab is, see here, this begin mother sprite is selected. Remember a few minutes ago, I added a block of code up here. Well, where did that go? That code I added to the stage. If I click here on the stage, I see the script that belongs to the stage. I'm going to add a bit of code now to this begin.mother sprite, this particular hyperlink. So I've selected it right there. Okay. I want to add events when this sprite clicked. What do we want to do when this sprite is clicked? Over here in looks, I want to switch to backdrop. This option right here. I can choose begin or mother. There are other things I could do. I could next and previous if I wanted to, but instead I'm going to click mother. So now when this sprite is clicked, we switch to the backdrop mother, and ta-da! The text changes, although that's really kind of pointless because this big, ugly black button is in the way. It's pretty ugly. Now remember here on the stage, when the green flag is clicked, we switch back to the backdrop begin. So I'm going to invoke that script by clicking on that green flag, and we've switched now to the backdrop begin. Here in the script for the Sprites tab, I'm going to add something. I'm going to take the events block. When the green flag is clicked, that is when the Scratch program starts, I'm going to set something called the ghost effect. I'm going to set the ghost effect to 80. And here, I'll show you what the ghost effect is. I can just click this block right now and boom, there. We have that. Well, it's kind of pointless here. Again, this is the mother text. We want to look there. There we go. Let's do that again. Okay. So now the mother text is transparent. The ghost effect here is 80. When I hit stop, the ghost effect disappears and you have the ugly black button again. But when the program is running, this ghost effect is set to 80 and we now can see through that sprite more nicely. It still functions just as it did before. How useful is it? Well, after we've clicked on this sprite, let's take this button and let's hide it. I'm going to restart the game. Now I'm going to click this button, and when this sprite is clicked, I not only switched the backdrop to mother, I also hid this button. Wonderful. So we're making some nice progress there. Okay, so let's restart this game and see. And oh, wait a minute. Where did mother go? Well, the place where it went is I hid it right here. I want the button to be visible at the start of the game. Now, I know that, and you know that because I just told you. But Scratch is not smart enough to read our minds. Although this button was visible by default when we first created it, I've now changed that default behavior by saying when this sprite is clicked, hide it. I need then to show this sprite when the green flag is clicked. Let's click the green flag, and we are going back to the sort of default position. When I click the sprite, it disappears. When I reset the game, we see it again. Okay? So, now I'm going to add a second hyperlink. On this page, the text about the mother, I want to make this word girl be a hyperlink that takes us back to the original page. So, I'm going to paint a new sprite. I'm going to call it. My naming convention will be mother.begin. It exists on the mother page, and it takes me to the begin page. I'm going to draw the rectangle, drag it here. I'm going to shave a little off the bottom, hit the delete key, shave a little off the right, and that's probably good. And now I want to events. When this sprite clicked, look, switch backdrop to, and I'll change that to begin. Aha, it works. Remember, I need to hide the sprite after I click it. And I also need to show the sprite. But wait. I don't want to do the same text I did before. Here, for the when green flag clicked, set ghost effect to 80 and show. Well, for this one, I do want to set the ghost effect to 80 because I want it to be transparent, partially transparent, just like the first link. But I don't want that link to appear when the game starts. It's supposed to be a link that appears here on this word girl. So what I'm going to do is under events, when the backdrop switches to mother, then I want to show this sprite. Okay, girl, click on girl, and wait a minute. Shouldn't this have mother here? If I click the green flag, mother appears. Click on mother, and when this sprite clicked, I'm going to put the green flag up there. Okay, that's the first thing that happens. When this sprite clicked, switch backdrop to mother, and that happened all right. So let's take a look at then at the girl text. Just by convention, I'm going to put the green flag up there, down there. Okay, so that's the order I want them to be in. I click on this. When this sprite is clicked, switch the backdrop to begin and hide. All right, well, mother does not appear here. Why is that? That's because the only way that Scratch knows right now to show this hyperlink is after the green flag is clicked. I'm going to change that now so that it's when the backdrop switches to begin, that's when we will show it. And when the green flag is clicked, I am going to switch the backdrop to begin. Okay? So now when the green flag is clicked, this happens, we switch the backdrop to begin. When the switch backdrop to begin happens, this script fires, and that shows this link. And now, click on mother, click on girl. Okay, so we now have 2 Lexias and 2 hyperlinks, and we can move back and forth between them. And in the next part, we will expand our story by adding a third backdrop and another link.